thanks for checking in. Today I'll be looking at Runebound from Fantasy Flight Games, the second edition from 2005. There's also a third edition, and my understanding, just from looking at Board Game Geek, is there's significant differences, so they're effectively kind of different games. It's a good size bookshelf box. It's 11 3/4 by 11.5 by about 3 inches. Game by Martin Wallace and Daryl Hardy. I do appreciate the art. It gives it a good old school feel to it. It's for 2 to 6 players, ages 12 to adult. Some overview here in the back of the box. Runebound, you and your friends play heroes in a fantasy world full of monsters, perils, and treasure. The realm is yours to explore as you wish. Shop for magic items in the markets of Riverwatch or hire a dwarven guide in the city of Frostgate. Wherever you go, adventure awaits you. The players roll unique movement dice to move their heroes around the board from one adventure to the next. Each adventure site, the players draw cards to discover new wonders they find or foes they must battle. In the end, only the mightiest hero will be able to defeat the ultimate challenge and win. Credits: game design by Martin Wallace and Daryl Hardy. Development: Daryl Hardy and Kevin Wilson. Advanced Runebound development. Second edition development: Alfredo Lorente. Graphic design: Scott Nicely. Cover art: Jesper Heising. Contents: rulebook. Got the board, which we'll talk about more in a little more detail. It's got a nice sorted solution for the cards, tokens, characters, dice. Rulebook. It's 12 pages. It's very descriptive. Got 12 minis here of the characters used that the players can choose in the game. They're well done for their time. Seem pretty robust and have a fair amount of detail. And each mini corresponds with a character card here. And for instance, here's Runewitch Astara and Sir Volodיר. There's 12 hero cards, one for each of the miniatures. In that card, you have their name, of course, and then their life. This is how many wounds they can take before they're unconscious. Heroes are knocked unconscious and allies are killed when they reach that number or greater. Stamina. This is the amount of exhaustion you can take, and when your exhaustion reaches your stamina value, then you take a wound for that. There's text about it, For instance, for Astara, before combat, you may take 1 exhaustion to test spirit. At 14, if you succeed, your enemy takes 1 wound. Skills: jump +2, swim +2. And these are their attributes. The mind value. This number is a bonus to mental skill tests and ranged combat rolls. This is how many wounds the hero inflicts in ranged combat. Body value. This number is a bonus to physical skill tests and melee combat rolls. Then after the slash, it's how many wounds the hero, ally, or challenge inflicts during melee combat. This is the spirit value. This number is a bonus to social or willpower-based skill tests and magic combat rolls. Then after the slash, this is how many wounds the hero, ally, or challenge inflicts during magic combat. And here's a key for the various symbols referenced. That symbol for mind, body, spirit, wounds, exhaustion, and gold. Here's the dice. There's 5 movement dice and 2 d10. These symbols correspond to terrain that you can move on. There's plains, forest, swamp, road, hill, mountain, river, and then town is a wild space. You may use any terrain symbol to move into a town space. Usually you roll 5 movement dice, but if there are any wound or exhaustion counters in your hero or any of his allies, you may roll no more than 4 movement dice. And the d10s are used for combat and skill checks. There's 84 of these market cards, and they include 29 allies and 55 items. For the items, you have the cost in gold, the icons. These have different functions during the game. Then you have the card text. In this case, weapon, a mace weapon. In melee, your hero receives a +4 bonus to his melee combat rolls. Then for allies, you have the life, the number of wounds they can sustain before they're killed. In the case of allies, it's the number of wounds they can take until they're killed. The stamina, it's a measure of fatigue. When you reach fatigue equal to that stamina value, you get a wound. Card text, in this case, Sir Gareth, the black. After you roll your movement dice, Sir Gareth may take 1 exhaustion to change 1 die to the side of your choice. And then these are the attributes. On the item card, this icon indicates it's an always on item. Other icons on cards include activate to use item or discard to use items. There's 84 adventure cards. They come in the green, yellow, bluish purple, or red decks. They increase in level of difficulty from green, yellow, blue to red. There's 35 green, 25 yellow, 16 purplish blue, and 8 red. And they come in either encounter cards or challenge cards. On encounter cards, you have text, in this case, like Animals Before a Storm. When your hero enters a town space, test Spirit, Diplomacy, 12. Your experience point value is added as a bonus to this roll. If you fail, you may not enter the town space, but may keep moving if your movement dice allows you to do so. The movement die used to enter the town space may be used to move into a different space. Then the challenge cards, in this case a bluish one. Laurentis, the Savage, it's got text here. It's got a life value here, number of wounds it can take. Reward, receive 2 gold, discard all wounds and exhaustions from your hero or ally. And here's his abilities. Here's all the counters. There's many of them. There's around 300 or so counters. Here's all the unique counters. You have wound counters and exhaustion counters. These are adventure counters. Front side shows a jewel of the appropriate color. The back shows how many experience the adventure is worth. So it's 1 for green, 2 for yellow, 3 for blue, and 4 for red. Experience counters. Defeating challenges gives you experience points. You can spend the experience points on experience counters. Each one gives your hero permanent bonus, so you effectively kind of level up, I guess. +1 health, +2 stamina, mind, body, spirit bonuses. There are 6 undefeated challenge counters. If you fail in an encounter, you can place these to where the encounter happened to keep track of them. Gold counters come in denominations of 1, 5, and 10. Doom counters, and you only use those when you play the Doom Track variant. Here's the map. It's kind of got an old school look, which I appreciate. It's about 21 3/4 by 21 3/4. Got some fun fantasy descriptive names to kind of draw you into the theme here. Terrain is plains, forest, swamp, road, hills, mountains, rivers. Any terrain can be used to travel into a town. Some spaces have adventure jewels on them. Green, yellow, blue, and red for the corresponding adventure counters to be placed there. You have the undefeated challenge track up here. Spaces for each of the town's market tracks. Each town has a symbol, and that would correspond to the market track for it. For instance, this would be a river watch. Spaces for the 4 adventure decks of the different colors. Space for the market deck and the events deck. That's all the components. It looks great. Looking forward to trying it out. Now I'll do setup and play. And doing setup here. I'll be doing a 2-player game. First, you place the adventure counters face up in each of the spots. For instance, the red gem on red, green on green, yellows on yellows, blues on blues. Do that on all the spots on the board. Place the 6 undefeated challenge counters in their corresponding position on the undefeated challenge track up here. Shuffle the ally and item cards in a single market deck, which I'll put, that goes here on the board. Take 1 card for each town other than Tamalier. Place the card face up in each town's market stack. The market stack for each town is indicated by the icon. So you draw from this pile, put it there. Got a potion of healing, soul burn, then ally Jerd the Fierce, potion of healing, ally brother Fracas, pad leather armor, and wings of Regforth. Then you shuffle each of the adventure card decks and put in the appropriate pile: red, purplish, blue, yellow, and green. Then each player randomly chooses a hero card to represent the hero playing the game. So drawing from the hero deck, Rune Witch Astara and Ronan of the Wild. And take the corresponding miniatures. They each get 3 gold. And the rest of the unused heroes you just put back in the box. They won't be in this game. Then you randomly choose who will be the starting player. For Ronan, 7. For Astara, 6. Ronan will go first. That's the end of game setup. Then we'll get into play. This is a turn sequence. The first player goes through this sequence, and the next player goes through the entire sequence. And each player's turn is divided into these 5 steps. Step 1, refresh. 2, movement. Step 3, adventure. 4, market. Step 5, experience. The victory conditions are dependent on the scenario. And the scenario I'm doing that comes with the main game here is Rise of the Dragon Lords. And to win the game, you have to either kill High Lord Margath or collect 3 dragon runes. And those can be accomplished with a higher difficulty challenges in these decks that you'll encounter. Ronan of the Wild goes first. Do the refresh step. Turn over all the activated face down cards. And those cards may be activated, but there aren't any activated cards right now since we're just starting, so we won't do that step. Step 2, movement. Before you do movement, you can also choose just to move to an adjacent hex without rolling the dice if you want. Or you also have the option of resting, and if you're resting, then you can remove the number of dice you didn't use. You can remove that number of exhaustion tokens. If you have at least 1 exhaustion counter, you can only roll 4. So if instead he rolled 3, he would be able to remove 1 of his exhaustion counters. If you only rolled 2 dice, he could remove 2 of them. And you can remove them from either yourself or your ally. You roll the 5 movement dice. If you're wounded or have any wound or exhaustion, you only do 4, but he's not wounded. He'll roll his 5 movement dice. That's the results he has. He can move one of the terrain types on each of the dice. See what he has here. He's got a couple. He's got 3 rivers. He'll head over here. 1, 2, 3. That's the 3 rivers. Can't use those anymore. And now he has a road or hill or plain. Road, hill, or plain. And he's got a hill right here, and he'll end up there. And he doesn't have to go. Doesn't have to go his full movement. If you end your movement and you're not on an adventure town, then you skip the adventure or adventure and market. But he landed on this adventure here, so we'll go to the adventure phase, and he'll draw an adventure card. Since he ended his turn on a green encounter symbol, he draws from the green adventure deck. There's 3 types of items in the adventure deck. There's encounters, events, and challenges. Challenges are combats. And you keep drawing from the adventure deck until you get a challenge. So if you get an event and encounter, you keep drawing until you get a challenge. This is a encounter card. Words of warning. An old peddler stops you on the path and cries, "I've seen the signs, the old ones are awakening, and he who once was dead will live again." Upon hearing of your quest, he offers to sell you a map of the realm. You may pay 2 gold to take this card. During a later turn, you may discard this card immediately after rolling your movement dice to change 3 of those dice results to size of your choice. If you choose not to pay, you discard this card. He doesn't want to spend his money on that right now, so he'll discard this. So keeps drawing. Draws another card from the green adventure deck. Defiance in the face of darkness. Word is spreading of the necromancer Vordash. Place 1 card from the marker deck face down in the market stacks of Rossgate, Tamar, and Vendale. The next player to pay a market step one of these towns may reveal the face down card for that town and take that card for free. This is an event card. And on the event cards there's a number, 1 Roman symbol 1, 2, or 3. If you get a 1 card, you only remove it if you draw a 2 event card or a 3 event card, so only if you draw a higher number event do you discard this one, otherwise it stays in play. So we'll do that event. We'll place that event card in this event area. So take 1 card from the market deck face down, market stacks of Frostgate, Temelir, and Fernvale. So we'll put them there. Temelir, Frostgate, and Vendale. We haven't found a challenge yet, so we'll drawing another card from the green adventure deck. It's a challenge card. Ambush. Blood-curdling screams alert you that Vonrex minions are ready to kill you. Before combat, do test of mind 15 to spot the ambush. If you succeed, inflict 1 wound. Start the first round of combat in any phase you choose. Ranged, melee, or magic. Reward is to receive 2 gold. And the opponents have a mind of 15, does 1 damage. Body of 12 does 2 damage. And a spirit of 9 does 0 damage. So we'll get into combat here to resolve this challenge. In combat, you use the 2d10. The order is you do escape, do ranged attack, melee, or magic. For escape, you roll the dice and then compare that and add your mind value. If the total is less than the mind value of your opponent, which is 15 here, you fail and you take 1 wound. And you may try again and move on to combat. If you succeed, you move your hero back 1 space, any direction from which you came, and then you have this as a undefeated challenge, and you put that in the undefeated challenge track. But he feels he can make an attempt, so he's not going to do the escape. And then you need to go to ranged, melee, magic. And in those 3 combats, you have to, in one of those, with your hero, you can only attack in one of those 3 phases. You can only do one of those 3, and the other 2 are defending. So if you do just a melee, for instance, you defend in range and magic. If you have an ally, you can also do another attack in a different one of these phases with an ally, but he doesn't have an ally right now. Before you do combat though, you look at the before combat section, see here, and also if he had any abilities on his before combat, he would do it. But here he tests mind, 15 to spot the ambush. If he succeeded, he would have inflicted 1 wound and started the round of combat in any phase he chose, but he didn't succeed. So now we'll move on to combat. In the combat round, first you can do an escape. He's not going to try to escape. Then we go to, and then the steps are you go from escape to ranged combat, melee, and then magic. Range, he does more damage in range, and but the opponent is also pretty good there. He'll give that a try. So he's attacking in ranged. 8 plus 3, 11, he fails, and since he fails, he takes the damage that his opponent can do in range, so he gets 1 wound. If he would have succeeded, he would have done 2 wounds to the opponent, but he failed. And he attacked there, and if he had an ally, his ally could attack one of these other phases, but he doesn't have an ally, so he can only defend in these other phases. And now we go to melee. Since he can only defend, you roll a die and add your melee combat value. Plus 2. 18 plus 2, 20, so he got greater than or equal to his 12, so that's good. Since he succeeded, you succeed and defend your opponent's attack, nothing happens. If it's less, you take the number of wounds equal to your opponent's melee damage value, which is 2, so he succeeded, so no more damage. Now we go to magic, and he can only defend in magic. Defending, he's got a plus 2 versus opponent's 9. And his opponent wouldn't do any damage anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But he rolled a 9 plus 2, 11. So if the opponent could do damage, he wouldn't have done it anyway. So that's the end of the magic phase. So that's the end of that combat round. Now we'll go to the next combat round. And do this till it resolves. Once again, he's not going to try to escape. He'll do an attack. He'll just defend on the ranged with a value 8 plus 3, 11. He fails, so he takes 1 damage, which isn't good. He's down to 2 now. And he'll attack on melee. He's a 12 or better. 14 plus 2, 16. So he does 2 damage. The opponent only has 2 health, so he's defeated. And because of winning that, he gets 2 gold. You remove the opponent. He still has the 2 wounds. He had 3 gold previously, but since he won that combat, he gets 2 more gold. Has a total of 5 now. And also, since he was successful, he also gets experience. So he takes this experience token, and it has a value of 1 experience point, which he'll accumulate his experience points to see later if he can up his experience level in one of the categories. Now it's the market phase, and you can only do a market action if you're in a town, and then you would purchase an item, but he's not in town, so he can't do a market action. And market actions are buy an item, hire an ally, or sell an item. If you sell an item, you sell it for half it's the price you bought it for. Can't do that. Then the experience step. For 2 players, when you have 5 experience points, you can buy an experience counter, and these are the different type of experience counters which give you a permanent bonus to these different categories. So you're effectively leveling up when you do that. But he only has 1, so we can't do that. For 1 to 2 players, it costs 5 experience points to get an experience counter. For 3 to 4, it's 4, and for 5 to 6, it's 3. We can't do that. So that's the end of his turn. Now it's Runebound Astar's turn. And the first phase is refresh, and if you have cards that are activated, you can replenish them. And that's indicated by the symbol here. These are cards that are activated for use. Kind of flip them over, turn them to their side, indicate if they're activated, or reactivate them, turn them up. But it doesn't have any items yet, so that doesn't apply. Then we go to movement phase. Do the 5 movement dice. It doesn't have any wonders and fatigue, so she rolls all 5 movement dice. Actually, the dice are kind of big and bulky. I do wish they had some color to them, but they have a good feel to them, so they work fine. Roll all 5. These are the options she has. She wants to go to a town to do a market. She can go through a swamp. She'll do that. Set that one aside. She can do a river here. And so she's used 2 of them, and then she can use any to get into the town. So she'll go into Downsmore, and since she didn't stop her turn on an adventure token, She's not going to do an adventure, but she goes to the market phase. She draws one from the market deck, puts on the board here. So in Downsmore, she has the options of a artifact pouch, which costs 3, or an ally, which costs 10. She can't afford. But the backpack of holding, before moving, activate to discard 1 fatigue from either your hero or ally. That's handy to have. Or the ally, which you can't afford, but you're to the fierce. Range melee. Should use a +1 bonus to her attack roll for each health on her. And these are the bonuses that would be rolling for her attacks. It's fueled by the backpack of holding though, and that costs 3. So now she is up. She didn't get any experience, so she's not going to turn any experience counters. And that's the end of her turn. And then we'll start the turn again. If he gets below 4, he would lose all his gold and he'd go back to a town and kind of start fresh new. And then the game keeps going until you either get 3 dragon runes or you defeat Margoth. And those challenges are in the red deck, so you'd have to go to a red encounter item and you randomly draw, and if you got High Lord Margoth here, you do that challenge and see if you defeat him, and if you did, you'd win the game. Or also in here there's Dragon Lords you can defeat to get some runes, and you have to get 3 of those. Different Dragon Lords. That's a little bit how the play goes. Hopefully that's helpful. That's Runebound, 2nd edition from Fantasy Flight Games in 2005. I didn't go into it with high expectations. It seemed like it might be kind of simplistic games, but actually I quite like it. I'd say it's one of the better games out there. It's pretty straightforward and streamlined, which I appreciate. Kind of immerses you in the world. It seems like a good game for introducing new players to fantasy board games. And there seems to be a lot of expansions out there as well. As I mentioned before, there's also a 3rd edition, but it seems like that game is quite different in the mechanics, so I might look at that one separately. Components are great. I'm not sure what to make of the dice. They're kind of, wish they had more color to them, but once you get playing, they're quite, I enjoy them as far, their feel is very good, and they're very, very practical, so I think they work fine. The artwork's great. Definitely gives that kind of old school feel to it. Definitely looking forward to playing it some more, and might also be looking at some of those expansions. So definitely recommend it. I'd say it's one of the, I can see why it has a big following. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Thanks a lot.